Welcome to the Healing Hour podcast, where we're healing in real time. So pour your tea, get comfortable, and let's talk about it. I'm your host, Athena Rodriguez. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Healing Hour podcast. Today we have our beautiful guest who I'm going to let introduce herself, a little bit about herself, what she does. Girl, I'm giving you the mic.
Okay, so first of all, welcome back to the Healing Hour. Girl, I'm so proud of you for getting back into this new season. When she told me I was able to be the first guest today, I was like, girl, you're going to give me this honor? I love that. But I'm honestly so proud of her for starting it back up with the whole new groove, a whole new studio. We're into it, right?
Yes.
So my name is Reyna. I'm known as Themarketingqueen on Instagram. I could tell you everything that I do, right? But we would be here for a while because I would like to say that I am a woman of many different passions, interests, and I pretty much follow my heart when it comes to everything I want to do. I'm a teacher by day job, but my everything job, my 24/7 job is I do marketing, I do PR, I do TV appearances, I have a media presence, and I pretty much follow my heart when it comes to those types of things. Athena was actually the person who got me interested in wanting to start like being an interviewer, being a moderator. Like you inspired me, Athena. So I hope you know that, girl. And like I'm like, hold on, maybe I want to pursue like media now. Maybe I want to pursue like news anchor stuff. So I'm just a woman of many, many interests, and me and Athena have so much in common. So I'm happy to be here, and I think we got a lot to talk about.
Yes. I think one of the what made me reach out to you for the podcast is so me and Reyna met through the Strive
Yes.
panel. Strive for Excellence panel, which is held every month. Shout
Yeah.
out to Darrell.
Yes.
And so when we met, my first impression of Reyna was she was in the audience taking notes,
Yeah.
right? And so what that said to me was, this is not only a learner, but this is a woman who's going places. This is a wise woman. And then you told me your age, and I was taken aback because I'm like, okay, a lot of young women don't know, to take notes, and a lot of people aren't observers and listeners. And so I guess so to kick this episode off, I want to know what inspired you to, I guess, get on this journey of being, I know you're a teacher, but also a learner. How did you, what is your, and also, I mean, I'm gonna let you answer the first question.
Yes,
first,
girl,
but yeah,
give it all
go
to me.
ahead.
So, okay, so you answer that one first and then go into next one.
Yes,
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to overwhelm you, so.
Girl, I love it. And honestly, that makes me so happy. I feel like from a young age, I was like, knowing that I'm young, right?
Also, let's interrupt. How old are you?
I'm 24.
Exactly.
Right,
So that's what I'm saying. That took me aback because I'm like, oh, I can tell this is a wise one. This is a wise one. When she brought out her journal, I said,
yeah,
she's going places.
Thank you,
She's
girl.
going places.
I appreciate that. And like, I feel like I'm definitely an old soul though. Like, I feel like in my past life, I was like a older, wise woman that loved to like dance and like love to learn and love to teach. And like, I feel like that's translated to who I am now. I feel like while I am young in age, I'm also an oldest daughter, right? So I feel like,
Same.
yes, so you get it.
Yeah.
When you're an oldest daughter in the family,
Yep.
it doesn't matter how old you are taking care of those siblings,
You're a
right? You are
grown-ass
taking
man.
care of the family. You're a grown-ass
You're
man,
a
girl.
grown-ass
That's
man.
what I'm saying.
Off
So
rip.
from off the rip, girl, I had to learn how to be way more mature for my age, represent myself, take care of myself, but also take care of my siblings. And my parents were amazing. My parents also helped in taking care of that. But I also grew up in a military family to where my dad wasn't around as much as my mom was because he was deployed or he was working. So when I was with my mom, I think I didn't realize it at the time, but when I was so young, I felt the need to help her with my siblings, right? And help her around. And I always was known to be pretty like bossy and pretty much like knowing what I want and very sure of myself at a young age.
Yeah.
So I think that now that kind of translates to who I am as an adult as like, I think I'm just so hungry. I think I like to surround myself by women like you that that do the thing, that are so inspiring, that just go after what they want and they sit up on that stage. And I saw you, Athena, at that first event. I saw you on that stage and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm in love with this woman. Like in a way of like you are just so good at what you do, but your passion like translates outward, you know?
Yeah.
So I was taking notes on you too, girl. I was taking notes on you, on the speakers, on everyone. And so when I'm in these types of events, I feel the need of like, how can I come to these events and not like be a student? Like I'm like, how can I not? You know, like for me, those events are like networking events to me are like learning. Like this is what you need to grow. So when I go to them, I always bring my notebook. I always set up my camera and I'm always like, let me record what they're saying, you know, because what these women are dropping is like things that I need to pick up and implement. And like I would be a fool to just sit there and just look pretty and just like absorb that and not do anything with it. So I think I had to realize that because I surrounded myself with women like you that was like, oh my gosh, I want to be like them, you know? So like, how can I get there? Well, I need to start taking notes. I need to start absorbing this stuff like a sponge.
Yeah, and it was a natural go-getter like energy that I felt off of you that made me like, okay, I'm gonna gravitate towards this woman because the go-getter in me. She's the go-getter.
You
in
saw
you.
yourself in me.
I
for
seen
sure.
it because you know, much as yourself, oldest girl. I come from an immigrant household, oldest girl, and you already know they don't play. Like you're basically, you know,
the dad of the household. Like we can have great dads, but like we have to like take an authoritative figure in the household to like help, because your siblings aren't gonna listen to the parents as much as they listen to other siblings.
Exactly.
We know that. How many siblings do you have?
Oof, girl.
Oh.
I am one of one when it comes to my mom and my dad.
Okay.
My dad has had 3 others. My older brother, he was murdered. I mentioned that on a different episode of the podcast. And then my mom has 3 other kids. So I'm 7 of us.
So are you the oldest of those 7?
My brother was oldest, but then at when I was a teenager, I was made the oldest.
Okay.
My brother,
yeah.
He was a little bit older than me. He was 8 years older than me. Then he got murdered, and then it was a lot of responsibility to take on. I was about, I think I was like 16, 17 when that happened. I was 16 when I think when that happened, because he was 24 and he was about 8 years older than me. So yeah, that was a lot of you know, picking up slack.
Yeah, a lot of life shifting, right? Like to be 16 and 17 in a very formative like age of like you're in high school, you were probably like a senior or a sophomore or junior.
Yeah.
And like to have your life change in so many different levels, but like all of a sudden you're the oldest of all the siblings, and like
it was like a power shift for sure. It was a change it was like a change of office. It was like electing a new president. I'm
literally.
At first, I was so used to my brother being like the one who would bring the siblings together, you know. And then after he passed away, it was like, oh, if I don't do it, who's gonna do it?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
And he left behind a young son, and I was like, okay, like I have to put on for the daddy side, because you know your daddy side is always it's always the side that's a little off. So I was like, I gotta put on for the daddy side.
Why is that a universal experience?
It is. Like, you know, like your mom's side, that's the safe side. Your dad's side is like,
there's some work to be done.
It's like let me put on a good representative. So so that ended up happening. I was so young, and I was putting in when I moved to Texas, I ended up, you know, taking him for the summer sometimes and bringing him to Disney World. So it was like I was doing all these adult things.
Yeah.
And I was like barely a woman. So it was like, it forced me to grow up. And I thought you were older than what you were because you were mature. But that's what people used to tell me. People used to tell me all the time. Like when I would tell people my age, like even like my friends, like that are now my friends.
Yeah.
When they first met me, they'd be like, oh yeah, I think you're such and such. And I'd be like, oh no, I'm this age. They'd be like, whoa,
wow,
what?
Athena.
So that's what I saw in you as well. I'm like, oh, this is
that what they thought
girl.
of me? Is that what they saw me as?
I definitely was like, oh, whenever you said your age, I was like, oh my God, you're a baby.
Yeah.
But that's but then
I think she did say those exact same words, by the way.
and then I had to reflect on them. Like, that's what people thought of me when you know, a few years ago was, oh, she's a baby. But when you carry yourself as like, you know, so introspective, like I feel like you're very introspective. And I'm pretty sure like you've dealt with battles that we're going to touch on in a second.
Yeah.
That has helped you see life in a different lens than your peers. Like, for example, like I know we talked a little bit about like I had another guest on here and she had an autoimmune disease as well. So let's talk a little bit about that and how did that contribute to, you know, your maturation right now?
That's a great question. And like, I love how you're just like, there's got to be bits and pieces that like made you who you are today, that it's like
Yeah.
all part of your story. Like the oldest daughter part is like just like a sprinkle of it, right? That's like,
Right.
I love what you said.
Surface.
It's like we were forced to grow up when we weren't even a woman yet. I think as a young age too, like I was always obsessed with getting older because I thought
Me
like, yes,
too.
when I got older, I was like, when I'm a grown woman, like, oh, I'll be able to do what I want. I won't take care of nobody. Like I can just take care of me.
Yeah.
And like to an extent, yes, that happened, but to an extent, you know, you're not prepared for everything that's on top of that, right? But I was obsessed with it. So I feel like I channeled that energy of like I wanted to grow up, so I would acted like I was growing up. When it comes to my autoimmune disease, though, I feel like my autoimmune disease really humbled me in the sense of like, if you have this, and by the way, I have lupus. I was diagnosed when I was 17. And so I was just a baby, like the same age that you were when your life changed. My life completely changed when I was diagnosed with lupus. And I thought to myself, like, on that point that I was just trying to make of like, if you have this, like, you're not regular. Like you cannot live a normal life, you know? You have to figure out a way to do things different than everybody else your age because you are not like them. And it was a very scary wake-up call to be like, you can't live that same life that they live. You can't go out drinking anymore. Like drinking flares you. Drinking makes you very, very sick. You can't do that anymore. And so you can't be like these other kids your age. So what are you going to do about it, you know? To me, it was like a slap in the face. And so for anyone who's ever dealt with autoimmune or sees autoimmune disease in their family or anything like that, you know that autoimmune is a very invisible disease. So you can look fine on the outside, you can look great on the outside, but there's a whole battle that's going on the inside of your body. It's how I like to kind of describe it as like lupus essentially when your immune system attacks itself. So your immune system thinks that like your organs are like bad organs when they're not. They're perfectly healthy, but your immune system betrays yourself. So it starts attacking those organs. So many different lupus patients have issues with like different organs. The most common in lupus is the kidneys. So I know a lot of us know about Selena Gomez and how she had to go through a kidney transplant because lupus commonly attacks the kidneys. For me, kidneys are a big issue, but I also have had issues with my liver before, my heart. I've had a lot of issues with my brain and just a general feeling of like you never know what's going to go wrong until it does, right? Your body essentially betrays itself. So some days you're great, some days you're awesome. You can put on that smiling face and go out there and be who you are, no one knowing with what you're really going through and the inside, right? How you really feel. Some days you actually are great and you feel great, but some days you have to pretend. And some days you can't pretend. It's so bad that you cannot put on that smiling face. You cannot put on that facade of that everything's okay because it's not. So lupus kind of made me get used to like performing of like I can't let this stop me from being who I want to be. So no matter if I'm feeling bad or not, I have to learn. I have to fake it. I have to be like the best that I can because for a long time, Athena, like I didn't want anybody to know I had lupus. I think it was only like 1 to 2 years ago that I really started like accepting it and being vocal about it because I was afraid that if people knew that I had a debilitating autoimmune disorder, that they would start like thinking that I wasn't capable or thinking that like, oh, it's like she's not gonna fulfill these things that she wants to fulfill because she's sick, you know, or like, you know, you have these inner thoughts that you can't even articulate because they're so subconscious, but they're in there and they like make you want to pretend like you are not who you really are.
Right.
So yeah, that's what lupus has done for me.
I previously had a guest on here. Lydia has fibromyalgia.
Ah, yeah.
And just hearing the trials that she went through and autoimmune disease, like you were saying before, it's invisible. You know, it's not like other illnesses where you can see somebody and be like, okay, I can tell that they have.
Yeah.
You know, you look healthy, you look
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank you,
You're
girl.
a baddie.
Thank
you know,
you, girl.
but you're battling this thing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That most people don't even know what it is and how it might affect you.
Yeah,
So I think
girl.
that's the thing behind autoimmunities, because same thing with Lydia. It's like from the surface, I would have never been able to tell that she was battling this debilitating physical, like, like
Wow.
battle.
Yeah.
Um,
And if I remind you, I'm pretty sure it's with the muscles, right? It's when yeah,
yeah,
your muscles. So Lydia, I'm sure, is in constant 24/7 pain.
yeah.
And so she has to, like, it's either like you become you suffer with that pain and you let it, you be a victim of it and you let it,
Mm-hmm.
control your entire life, or you put it behind you no matter how hurting you are, and you still go out there and you do what you got to do and you handle what you have to handle.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's the sucky part, is that like no one will be able to tell what we're
Right.
going through unless we tell them, because we try our
Exactly.
so best to make it look like that we're not sick,
Mm-hmm.
so that's a
Yeah.
crazy thing. So
And she makes it look great.
yeah.
Shout out to her,
Yeah, I have
She
to go
makes
back
it
and watch
look
that
great.
episode, because for me, like, I am so trying to surround myself with women that like go through things behind the scenes that you would never know. But I want to
Yeah.
be an advocate for, like, no, share it, like tell us what you're going through, like
Yeah.
be vocal about it, because I feel like it only makes someone respect you so much more, that like to know that like we're all going through something, we're all suffering in our own sense, whether it be mental illness, which is also invisible,
Yeah. Also.
or all these other things of like you can still live a good life and be who you want to
Yeah.
be if you
Mm-hmm.
don't let it like run you,
Yeah,
you know?
and you touched on masking before, and I feel like, I feel like we're so similar in a lot of ways, and I'm one of those people. I mask, okay? Like, it's so funny because one of my closest girlfriends, we talked about this 2 days ago, and she was like, you know, you're venting to me, but a lot of the stuff I didn't know, like I don't know how you feel because you're always joking, you're always laughing about it,
Mhm.
um, and you make it seem like it doesn't affect you,
Mm.
and this was something that was going on in like in my personal world, and I was like, guys, like, disclaimer. This is affecting me. Like,
Yeah,
I know I'm
disclaimer.
sending y'all memes about this, and I know
Yeah,
I'm laughing about this, but ouch. Like, I'm going through
literally.
something like that's really transformative right now. That's really painful, and it's I'm growing out of this cocoon stage, but while I'm healing from this situation, I need you guys to be a little sensitive. But
Mhm.
it's like part of that masking is I it's like an internal, I don't want you to treat me differently than
Yep.
you would treat your other friends or that you would treat your peers. So let me brush it off and either use humor or use strength, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And or just use silence so that way you just don't know what I'm going through altogether. So that way I don't feel that pity and I don't feel bad for going through
Yep,
it.
the pity. Big thing on the pity is that women like us, we can't, like we couldn't fathom someone feeling bad for us for something. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? Like we're the strong ones. We're the ones who are, who take care of everybody else. So who is someone to take care of us?
Right.
So I get that, and I get it so much of like masking. I never really use the word masking, because to masking to me is like I'm covering something that isn't there, or I'm sorry, I'm covering something that is there, but like I'm faking it. I like to use the word, and it's kind of the same context, but I like to use the word performing. Like I'm a performer. Like
Yeah.
I changed I used to say masking a lot, but when I changed my kind of like my beliefs when it came to that, and my like my I guess my vocabulary when it came to that, I was like, no, I'm a performer. When I know I have to perform, I go and I perform. No matter how bad I'm feeling, I'm an actor. I have to go out there. Like I had to channel someone who like doesn't let this affect me, to where I can go out and people would never know until I told them. That was always the goal. The goal was
Yeah.
like, no one needs to know you're going through this.
Mhm.
No one needs to take care of you. No one needs to feel bad for you. You were a strong woman. I wanted to embody that woman that I always
Mhm.
saw and I admired, I wanted to be. But you're right, like we use so many different ways. And if you're listening to this right now and you're like, oh, like maybe you don't have an autoimmune, maybe you don't have issues right now in your personal world that are really transforming you into a whole other being, but like you've gone through something before. And if you haven't yet, you're going to go through something at some
Yeah.
point. And it's like everyone, no one wants to project this weakness of the world. Like
Right.
they all mask in one way or another. More commonly, I see
Exactly.
is humor.
Humor, yeah. Girl, I'm guilty of it. I will
Yeah.
make a joke out of every. Like, it be
Yeah.
stuff that, like, especially like if I'm in a room with new people and I like bring out this life event that happened to me and I start laughing about it, they're like,
You good, girl? You good?
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's that. Oh, I done went through I already went through that.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not even sad about that anymore.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, but it's I feel like in a way that was holding me back from, you know, healing from those things. But
Yes.
it's like those wounds are always gonna resurface. That's what
That's what I'm saying. It's
learned.
always gonna like come back eventually and make you
Yeah.
face it. Of like, I guess maybe humor for you was like your way of like coping with it. Like your
Yeah.
humor was your way of accepting it in a way, but like humor, I hear that a lot of like a lot of people that I know, especially for some reason, grief and humor go together really like really like
real bad.
Yeah, literally. 'Cause
real
I hear that a
bad.
lot when it comes to grief. Of like people start to make jokes about it. That's where dark humor I feel like comes from.
Exactly.
Of like, why are you laughing about that? But they're like, no, 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 it's fine. Like I'm over it. Like it's funny.
Yeah, no problem.
And the people will see that from the outside and be like, is she okay? But in reality,
Is
that's
she
the
okay?
only way that your brain knows
Yeah.
how to like deal with that, I guess. You know what I
Because
mean?
you
Like,
laugh to keep from crying, and
Yes.
that's like the biggest theme in my life is like, if I don't make a joke out of it, you know, like
Yeah. Yeah.
and I feel
What's
like
the harm?
you know,
Yeah.
and I watch a lot of stand up, and I love comedians, and then when I deep dive into like most comedians' live, it's like it's always something so tragic that went down, but that's what makes them so funny though. Like it's like the funniest people I know when when I really get to know them and I really get to know their story, I'm like, oh, these are God's toughest soldiers, you know. But they find light in their situation, and they're the funniest people.
Yeah. That's so interesting. You know what that
Yeah.
reminds me of? Did you watch the roast of Kevin Hart yet?
No, I have not watched it yet.
Girl, I watched it last night. I
I've
stayed
had
up
the
to
craziest
3
week.
a.m.
I need to watch
Yeah,
it.
no,
though.
tonight you need to watch it. Like, to me, I did not know that Kevin Hart's dad was a crack addict. I didn't know that. I didn't know all this lore that was behind him. I didn't know that he was a crack baby. I did not know that. I don't feel like, I mean, maybe I don't listen to him enough, but I never really heard him making jokes about that before. Maybe he does, and I just didn't hear it. But it to me it was like, yo, like when people were up on the stage like roasting him, they were
Yeah.
bringing up all this traumatic shit. I'm like, yo, like
Ouch.
like damn, like I'm hurt. I'm like, ooh, like I'm on the other side of the screen just like wincing at this like traumatic type of jokes that they're making. But like you're so right, Kevin is one of the greatest comedians to ever like do it, you know, in our time. And to hear that his backstory on this roast platform was this dark, that took me
Right.
so back.
Yeah, girl. And it's a lot of comedians too. Like
Yeah.
when they'll tell like their stand up, and it's like, I say right. Like it's
Yeah.
funny, but like
You're just
you
like, kinda,
okay?
like shifting your seat a little bit. You're like, yo,
You alright?
yeah, that's so
You know,
interesting.
even some of my funniest friends, like it's like I know you have some insane lore, like
Yeah.
like my funniest friends. I'm like, oh, but it's so sad because I know you're this funny because you've had to mask for so long. You've had to divert people's attention from your sad story
Yep.
to something that is not gonna make you like okay. In Cape Verdean Creole, we have this word like, and I don't really know how to like translate it for real, but it's like kind of like we say it when we mean like okay, so the word is a coitado. We say it like whenever it's like a Portuguese word. It means kind of like when you're a coitado, you're like a oh, like you know, like you ever hear somebody's story, you're like oh
Yeah,
yeah, like for us in our language, it would be like oh coitado, like they're like a coitado, so they become like this the adjective is coitado,
Okay.
but then they become the noun, which whenever you refer to the person again in conversation, you'd be like, he's a coitado, like he's
like,
a
poor
sad,
baby.
he's a sad story.
Sad
Yeah.
story. Damn.
And you don't want to be that.
You don't want to be.
You don't want to be known as a coitado because you're like every time somebody sees, you're like, oh, like a pity. Like
Yes.
you don't want to be like, oh, he's a pity.
Damn, yeah. So like you grew up like hearing that term and being like, I don't want to be that. So I'm gonna make sure that no one ever sees me that way. Wow, that's so interesting. A lot, and especially a lot of like women, I feel like are like the funny personality women that like
Yeah.
you know, but like, what are you hiding? Like, and I feel like our generation. Are you a Gen Z or are you millennial?
I'm a Gen Z.
Okay. So Gen Z.
I just made it.
You just made it? Okay.
I just made it.
Gen Zs especially. Millennials probably a little bit, but Gen Zs especially.
Mm-hmm.
They are known to like use dark humor, use memes to make light of like that dolphin trend, that meme of the dolphin. I don't know if you remember that on TikTok, but it was like a Lisa Frank dolphin vibe of like they would put some really, really dark shit on there and like be like this beautiful picture of a dolphin jumping out of a water with Lisa Frank. And if you're chronically online, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But then they put some really dark shit on there, and then they would like try to use this meme as like like we're all going through it. It's okay, you know, like it's this dark shit. We're all going through it. But those things would go so viral, and that to me was like evident to me, like, oh my god, like our generation has gone through some shit, and we only know it because of TikTok, because of the Instagram, because of this repost feature, because of this quote feature of like, oh yeah, like I've been through that. I'm not alone, and repost to where it becomes like trending to like go through shit sometimes. And I'm like, yo, like but I feel like other generations have been so hurt in the same way, maybe even more, but they didn't have that outlet like we have it. So
I think my mom. My mom's a millennial. Like,
oh, yo, hold on.
My mom had me very young. Like she's like on the cusp of like the millennial, like Gen X thing.
Oh, okay.
And
she with it then. She with it. Yeah,
so
she gets it.
What I've noticed about that generation is that they completely hide what they're going through altogether. Like they don't even talk about what they're going through. Like I feel like Gen Z is and I feel like millennials started this because they have been the ones who started the technology age.
Yeah.
Right? So they started the oversharing that we do now.
Yes.
So millennials are like the pioneers of oversharing.
Yeah.
And the Gen X, late millennials, they're more like hush hush, like I'm not gonna post all my problems online.
Yes.
It's kind of weird.
Exactly what they are. Yep.
And we used to go through TikTok, like we were saying, like it's like story time on top of story time.
Yep.
You know?
Yes. I can't believe our generation has like normalized it, is the fact that like oversharing online is like
therapeutic.
Yes.
Honestly, it's therapeutic.
Yes. Free therapy right here. But it's like digital footprint is now a thing, right? That we didn't really consider before. But Gen Z is like okay with it. Gen Z is like, I don't care, like, you know.
Yeah.
And my Gen X mom would be like, why are you putting that online? I'm like, nah, like you don't get it. Like they get it though.
Yeah.
You know?
No, literally. Sometimes I find myself putting stuff online, and then I end up like I'm a chronic post and deleter because I'm like,
you're like, oh, never mind. Y'all aren't ready for this. Y'all aren't ready for this.
I just want to be judged.
Yeah, it's kind of like we have so many, especially you and I. We run like kind of like more like professional boss woman accounts. So we're like, a lot of times we have to like we're all human, right? But we all kind of have to put up this like this image that we represent of like we want to represent these young Gen Z women who can do it, you know, who can be beautiful, have brains, and like still be professional. And so to keep up with that image, which we are, like it's not a facade, we are that.
It is that.
But we also have depth to us too.
Yeah.
And so to put up with that and to also post our realness too can kind of contradict each other sometimes, especially when your audience is a very vast mix of like Gen X's, millennials, and then a sprinkle of Gen Z. It's hard, girl. But that's why I love your page so much, because like you're able to really encapsulate like all of it together, and you feel like a real human, like boss woman watching you online. And that like to me, that is the type of women that like I want to be around, that I want to follow. Like I want to follow the real women who go through the real shit, who take care of themselves, but like who like are not afraid to be vulnerable online. I think that's so dope. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, and honestly, like I said, like I gravitate to you as well because it's like, you know, I realize your frequency, and it's like it's on the same thing. It's like you get stuff done, but also like you get to like, you know, you get to be a baddie, you get to be multifaceted, and I feel like because our generation has taken the emphasis off like home rearing and like marriage and things like that, we get to explore so many different parts of ourselves,
so many
that like our mothers and our grandmothers didn't get to explore. And it's like we get to explore that whole like all the parts of ourselves. So it's not just like the smart woman. It's like, okay, like you can be sexy, you can be fun, you can be funny, you can be goofy. You could be so many things that
Mhm.
the women before us didn't have the leisure to do.
Yes, girl. They had to be like, pick one,
Yeah.
and run with that, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm so happy you mentioned that. Like, because I always felt like I wanted to be around more women. There's the Insta baddie, right? There's the
Yeah.
we have different personas on Instagram, right? There's the Insta baddie that like is solely just like a looks type of woman, you know? Like there's no
Yeah.
more substance to her more than just like her pictures and her looks. And half the
Mhm.
time, no shade, but the women don't exactly represent that in real life. It's more of like an
Right.
online thing, right? No
Yeah.
shade, it's just the way that it goes, right? Then there's like the woman who's like just about her smarts, just about
Mhm.
her academics, you know, who's like so super serious about her career. But sometimes other things are lacking. Maybe she doesn't have time to take care of herself. Maybe she doesn't like do self-care or care about her looks that much, you know? There's different personas that you'll see online, right? And so
Yeah.
the women that are now emerging that are not afraid to be like, nah, I'm beautiful. I'm a baddie. I'm also smart.
And you
I'm
don't have
also
to pick.
funny.
You don't
Yeah,
have
you
to
don't
pick.
gotta pick. And you can be all of it. It opens the door for so much envy and hate towards it. And especially from the older women who are like, yo, like, y'all can do that now. Like, we didn't get to do that, you know? But for us, it's like, oh my God, like I love that. And that's exactly who I want to be. I want to be a woman who like can represent it all and
Yeah.
show the younger women who are emerging that like, no,
Right.
girl, you can do it all.
You
And
can.
that is who you should strive to be. You know,
Right.
and no woman can be well rounded in every aspect, of course. Like
Mhm.
when one thing is up here in a season, one thing might be slacking a little bit. That's okay.
Right.
But to overall not feel like you have to choose between one or another, I think is so inspiring.
Oh yeah, and I definitely, like I said, I really appreciate the multifaceted women because
Yeah.
it's like for women who don't fit in one category because I recognize that you are too like you remind me a lot of myself because when I was younger I was the same thing, like I fit in with older people thought I was older,
Yes.
and
Uh-huh.
it's not a look thing but it's like an energy thing.
Yeah.
And so, I remember saying like, "Damn, I look old," but it'd be like no, like the friends and like the guys I would meet would be like, "No, no, no, you don't look old, but like you are like wise, but you give like
Yeah.
a more mature vibe." And I think it's because of that, like you can relate to a bunch of different audiences.
Yeah.
So you can get Gen Z to relate to you, which you can also, transcend the other
Yeah.
generations and
Wow.
they recognize your brilliance as well, you
So
know?
interesting. I never thought about it like that.
Because and I know some people who, and this is not a knock to them, but
Yeah.
I know some Gen Zers who, they're brilliant, but the people who see their brilliance are other Gen Zers
Yep.
because they can't connect with the other generations that are around. And
That
then
is
you
such
have
a good
your
point.
your people who can bounce around like like us. And
Yeah.
it's like when I do my Instagram demographics, I don't ever see my own demographic in the my main demographic is like 35 to the 42.
Yeah.
And it's like it's so funny too because my mom used to always tell me like, yeah, I wonder whenever you're gonna be a child because I never really felt like a child. So she was like,
Wow.
one day you're gonna wake up and just be like, I want to be a kid. I'm like, I don't think that'll happen, but
Wow.
yeah, like it's like I wonder if you
Yeah.
relate to that of like always feeling like, like you were saying before, like I
Yeah.
can't wait to be an adult.
Yeah.
And that was me. I was like, I can't wait to be an adult. And now that I'm an adult, I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
okay, I was always the youngest in the room, but now I'm transitioning to being kind of not that young in the room.
That's
Pushing
so
30.
Yeah, that's wait, so how old are you, Athena?
27.
Okay, 27. Okay. That's oh my gosh, you just made so many good points. I'm like, yo, like I've never really heard another woman like because mind you, I've always been that older, kind of wiser woman of my
Old
age group.
soul.
Exactly. So when I'm hanging around, ooh, my bad. My mic's like, oh girl, you get into it. When I'm around that age group, my age group, I'm usually the woman who's like a little bit older. So I'm the one like mentoring and teaching and stuff. So I never really get to find the ones who will like kind of relate to me in that sense until I hang around some older women. And to me,
Yeah.
you're not like older woman. You know what I mean? Like you are an age that like I can't wait to become. I'm like, oh, I wonder how I'm gonna be when I'm 27, you know? I think that's so awesome. But what you just said was like, damn, like that's true. You were like, you're always been the oldest, you always been the wisest, but one day you're gonna wake up and be like, nah, like I want to be a kid again. And I wonder, like, where has that shown up in your life? Like, how, like,
for
have you seen that?
sure.
And you have like wanting to like heal the inner child, is what they say.
Yeah, I think that shows up the most, honestly, when I'm dating.
Hey, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
So like I've never dated a man like my age. I've always dated older. Significantly.
How old? Oh, significantly older. Oh, wow. Okay.
Pawpaws, girl.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I've always dated like 35 to like 53.
Hey.
And now that I'm older, now I'm like I need to
Okay, go more to your age. Okay.
But,
wait, how old were you when you were dating those types of men? Like my age?
girl, I'm not gonna lie, my dating history has just been grooming after grooming after grooming. Like when I was 16 years old, I was dating a 21-year-old, and then whenever I was 19 years old, I was dating a 44-year-old, and whenever I was 22 years old, I was dating a 50-year-old. Like and then that was like my last relationship, and now it's kind of like. Now that I'm 27, I'm like, oh,
yeah,
I was being like, it was that eagerness to be older than what I am.
Yeah.
That had me attracted to these men. But now I'm like, oh, there was a recurring theme in all of my relationships, and it was the shaping and the molding of who you wanted me to be. And it was a recognition that like, this is a person that, is putting too much dip on their chip, essentially.
I see.
And yeah.
Well, were those men that like had a lot to offer you in return, or was it kind of like a very like was it more just an age thing? Like were they taking care of you? Were they like nurturing you like a I don't want to say it, but like a father would? You know what I mean? Like was that kind of the vibe?
Like I think it played into a lot of father wounds, but I think it also played into like a lot of stability that I was looking for since like from a young age. I've always been looking for stability, and I thought that the way to get stability was to date these older men,
established men.
And also in my brain, I was thinking I was like as mature as they were, because that's what they were feeding me. Like, oh, you are, you're more mature than women my age. So I'm eating that bullshit and things like that. So it was just kind of the thing where, now that I'm older, now that I'm a little bit older, I'm 27, and I date men. Now the conversation has switched completely. Even when the guys are a little older, the conversation is, well, when are you going to be ready for kids? Do you want kids? When are you ready for kids? And so there's such this biological pressure on a 27-year-old woman to like, well, you need, your 30's coming up, like, and so that's where I feel like I'm not the new kid on the block anymore when it comes to biology, and I was so used to, and I don't know if you can relate to this as well, but being the eldest and being, a responsible figure in your family, like the most irresponsible thing you can do arguably is to have a child young, because I've seen it done for generations upon generations.
Yeah.
My mom had me as a teenager, my grandmother had her as a teenager, and I saw how children could change the trajectory of your life.
Yeah.
So even as a 25, 27-year-old, if I were to get pregnant right now, I feel like I'm a teenage pregnancy.
Wow,
because
girl.
it was programmed in me for so long. Don't have sex, don't have children out of wedlock, don't have children, to where now I am childbearing age, and honestly, a little bit getting up there in the geriatric spectrum. And I'm like, I'm still traumatized. Like I still have those teachings in my head of like, don't have a kid before you're ready. Don't have a kid before you're married. So it's kind of like when I date these older men, it's like, oh, am I not a teenager anymore? Like,
So it's been like I feel like you're the way that you knew yourself shifted recently in the last like 3 to 4 years of like, oh my God, like I'm no longer that young baby to everybody anymore. Like, like I'm a grown woman now. Oh, girl,
I would say the last 3 to 4 months, girl.
Oh wow. So it's like a new transformation.
I went from like literally like a few months ago, I was me and my mom, we talk every single day. We have a long distance relationship.
Love.
And I always share like probably like 20 memes a day to this girl. And I kept sending her these like young hoe memes. And my mom like called me and was like, hey, you're not a young hoe, you're just a regular person. I said, oh.
You don't qualify anymore for a young. Yeah, it's so much like, I am. Oh my God.
Because I've always identified, because I've always dated these super older men. I've always had these super older friends. and I've always been the baby. So I'm like,
That's so
I'm
interesting.
not a baby. Like, my obnoxious decisions are not cute anymore.
They're not like justified anymore. Like, hold on, I have to take accountability. Like,
Yeah.
girl, I'm nervous for when I get to that age. I'm like, ah, shit. Like, I can't use my age as an excuse anymore. But like, I completely like I do resonate with that what you just said, because my family, it didn't necessarily like come from like a like with that were like young pregnancies, but it was more of like my dad as a military dad. Your dad will kind of raise you to be like, you know, I don't want you dating men. Like, I don't want you being around men. Like, you know, kind of like, don't get a boyfriend. Like, not trying to encourage that. Not encouraging marriage, not encouraging kids. Kind of like, if you never have kids, I don't care. You know, my dad's kind of, yeah, my dad was a dad of like, nah, like, you don't need a boyfriend. Like, I wasn't allowed to date till I was 18. And even then, I was kind of like weird about like bringing a man home, right?
Weird about the boys.
Yes.
Weird about them.
Very weird.
Same, girl.
Very weird, girl. And so the relationship with dating has always been like really odd in my life. Kind of like I don't even know if you're worthy enough for me to even bring home. I don't want to bring it to my family because will my dad approve? Like, it's kind of that dynamic. So kids to me was never even like never really a thing in my head. Even I mean, I know I'm very, very young age to even think about kids, right? 24. I mean, there are people that, you know, that I went to high school with that are already like married, have families, like, multiple kids. And I'm just like, cool, you do you, but like I don't see kids in my life for a very long time, if ever. So for me, my parents were never really like, you don't like, we don't care. Like, you do what you gotta do. My dad always pushed this persona on me as like, oh, I just want you to be an independent businesswoman. Like, that's it. Like, I don't want you to be married. I don't want you to have kids. Like, you do you, follow your career. Career for me was always what was pressed upon me. So I feel like that might change when I get to 27.
Yeah.
When I get to be like your age, to even say that is like weird.
I know,
To say that is weird. But when I get to be
Yeah.
27, maybe that might change. But I feel like for now, kids is not has never been on my mind, and will it ever be in the next 5 years? I hope not. Might change if I find some love. But my dating life has always been quite weird as well. So I can
Okay,
agree.
you did this thing on your page one time that
Yeah,
I
I
found
know you're talking about.
absolutely fucking hilarious.
I know you're gonna say.
Where you did like, what was it, the boyfriend question?
boyfriend
Let's talk about it because that shit
application.
was funny as hell.
Yes, the boyfriend application, girl. To me, it was.
Well, let's explain to the audience what the boyfriend
Okay,
application was.
let me tell you what the boyfriend application was, okay? The boyfriend application was this like this funny idea that I had. I was kind of like, hey, I wonder if I put out like a questionnaire for these men that like claim they want me so bad, right? So I mean, as women like us, I'm sure like there's never a deficit of men in the DMs, never a deficit, right? And so for me, at one point I was so overwhelmed by like all these men trying to like get to know me that I was like, yo, like y'all need to like, I can't date every single one of y'all. Like, y'all, we need to figure out a method here.
Lock in.
Yeah, lock in, literally. So my strategy was like, okay, I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste yours. I don't have time for dating right now, which I don't, and I probably still don't, and I didn't, and whatever. Was like, okay, how can I expedite this process? Well, let me make a questionnaire of like the questions that I really want to know about you. And if you like me, if you genuinely do like me, and if you want to like really like see a future with me, you will have no problem with filling this out. You will fill it out. You know, you will spend probably like 30 minutes to an hour filling it out, letting me know your answer to these questions. And that to me will tell me that like you won't be a waste of my time.
Right.
For me,
exactly.
girl, I wasn't playing. You know, I was like, yeah, if y'all all want to date with me, we're gonna do this. So I decided, I was like, I wonder if anybody will ever will even fill it out. I wonder, you know. Deep down, I kind of knew they would, but I was like, let me just make some. So I whipped up this like, I forget how many questions I put. I think like anywhere from like 10 to 15 questions I think I put, of like some like deep ass questions. Like they were not like surface level questions. They weren't like how tall are you, or like what do you do for work, or like how much money do you make. For me that was like, I'll figure that out later. Okay. These were questions that like I genuinely cared about, of like, were you willing to even sit across the table from me? And hey, I'm picky. Okay. I'm picky. I've gotten to that point where like, I don't want you, if you have a certain mindset, I'm not even gonna like go there, right? So my questions were kind of deeper questions of kind of like getting to know who you were on a you know, deeper than surface level. And I put it out on Instagram, like on a post. I was like, hey, my boyfriend applications are officially live. Because to preface, I had teased it a little bit with these guys, my DMs. I was like, hey, just putting it out there. If I were to make a boyfriend application, like, would you fill it out?
Right.
And they were kind of like, oh yeah, that would be so funny. And so with them giving me that confirmation that like they would actually do it, I was like, yo, these men are waiting for it.
Yeah.
A couple of them even followed up. They were like, hey, is that boyfriend application coming? I was like,
Yup.
okay, y'all want it? I'm gonna make it.
Get some popular demand.
yeah,
Get the
popular
people what they
demand.
want. Get the people
So
what they want.
I'm pretty sure in that post I wrote like due to popular demand on something like that, and I put it out there. And I was like, it's live in my link tree, like you can fill it out. And I made a disclaimer. I was like, if you are offended by this in any way, like this ain't for you, okay? The ones who get it, and they gonna fill it out. You know, that's who I really want. And so I honestly didn't really get any negative feedback. I had a couple guys being like, I ain't filling that shit out, you know, just like, and I'm like, yeah, you ain't the one. X off the list.
Well, thank you for that.
yeah,
You're
literally.
no longer in the running.
Thank
I'm
you for letting me
becoming
know.
my next top boyfriend.
Thank you. Exactly. So I had a couple guys that were like, really, Reyna? Like, I can't believe you really did that. But then the ones who were like, we're serious, girl, they filled it out and they filled it out nicely.
Okay.
And I had like several applications that I got to look through. I actually like low-key forgot about it. After like 2 weeks, I was kind of like, like, I don't think I was really, really serious about dating to like really, really follow up on it. To me, it was kind of like a funny, like spur of the moment type of thing to see if it would even work. It did, and now I kind of feel bad because I left all these guys kind of hanging. I did follow up with them. I know.
Yeah.
It had potential, but I just like...
It was an application. Hey, whenever you fill out that job application, they don't say you finna get the job.
Exactly. Like,
I'm just saying.
I'll have it
if
in
you're
my files for a
qualified
while.
for the job.
I'll have it in my files for a
Okay,
while.
thank you.
When it's time, it's time. But like,
Thank you.
I don't think I was at the point in my life where like,
Mm-hmm.
I could really like follow up on that. I don't think I genuinely wanted a boyfriend. I think I was just like being funny about it. I don't really know. There are some guys though that I did give a first date to, or that I did give like a. I think I was like, hey, you get 3 rounds. Like if you pass 1 round, whatever. I was being funny, but they had no problem about it, girl.
Right?
It was like a kind of a social experiment in a way. It worked. I got some great applicants. I had yet to follow up, but it's
Yeah.
coming. And when I'm ready to date,
Exactly.
first on the list.
You have your applicants right there in
yes,
the
girl,
file.
right there in the file. So
Honestly,
I haven't.
love that.
Yeah,
I feel like
a lot of women like you though were like, girl, send me the like women wanted that the format, the template that I made. So I told them I was gonna send to them. I actually did not. I have not been back to that application and girl, probably like a month. So I need to go back and revisit it. I just kind of forgot about it. But I want to be able to like send that application to other women and be like, girls, this worked. Like use it on your men because the real ones who are serious about you, they're gonna think it's cute and funny and they're gonna fill it out real
Exactly.
fast, you know. So it was really like social experiment that checked.
and the thing that stood out to the most about the social experiment that you conducted on your page
Yes, ma'am.
was that it highlighted this for me, right? Especially Gen Z women, and this goes for all women, not just not just the
Yeah.
younger girls,
Yeah.
but the younger girls. Our whole lives have been our parents telling us career comes first.
Yeah.
Ourselves come first. This comes first, that comes first. And I feel like the amount of time that we have allotted to dating has dwindled to where, like, I feel like the older generations, a lot of times they went to college to find a husband.
Yeah.
We're going to college so that way we don't need a husband.
Exactly. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, we're going to college so that way we can be financially independent. Which is, I have a whole theory on this and why why our economy is shit now, because they're trying to get women to, reclaim our homes. Essentially, women are finding alternative ways to live. Women are solo traveling. Women are doing all these things that traditionally our foremothers were not allowed to do.
Yeah.
And so now that we are fulfilled in our friendships, are fulfilled in our careers, are fulfilled in ourselves, getting to know ourselves, the need for men romantically is dwindling so that way we can be selective.
Yeah.
We can say, you know what? I need all 10 of y'all in my DMs to compete.
Literally,
You
like,
know?
and it's like it has to be people respond. Some guys respond of like, "Ooh, if it was the other way around, like I would get crucified for that shit." And I'm like, "Yeah, like we have that privilege now of like we can do that now."
We're not your mammies.
Yeah, literally, like
We're not your mammies.
it's literally funny. Like they can compete, and like they are almost like willing to in a way.
Yeah,
They're
because-
kind of like, "Ooh, girl, like I want a girl
because
like you."
now it's like you have to tell, like, okay, I was just telling my mom this, and I was like, girl, I was like, a lot of guys that like I have gone on dates with, and I think it's just because they're just a little bit older, but they've been like their way of love bombing is like, I can see me having a child with you. I can see me marrying you. As a Gen Z woman, I'm scared.
Yeah, that's like, like,
That's
ooh, baby.
that's a terroristic threat.
Yeah, that's good. They don't know their audience then, because, like, yo, you don't say that's a girl.
I go to sleep with a nice cozy robe.
Yeah.
Putting the AC to whatever the fuck temperature I
Hell
want it
yeah.
to be. Like, you know,
Yeah.
taking my shower, putting on my mask, going to sleep.
With your glass of wine, girl, don't forget.
With my glass of wine and my magnesium.
Oh, hell
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Hell yeah. Yes.
And why would I want you there? Why would a man be there?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I feel like our generation is kind of figuring out what makes our life magical by ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, whereas to before, women were always, our lives can only be happy if we are a part of this unit.
Yeah.
Where now I feel like so many of my friends, so many of my girls, they're just happy intrinsically. They're happy, like, they're happy with their careers, they're happy with their friends, they're happy with where they are in life, they're happy with their ambition. And before it was like all this was just to catch a man. That's not the case anymore. If a man comes, he comes.
Yeah.
And if he makes my life easier, he can stay.
Yeah, exactly. But
you know,
I
that's
love that.
it.
You know what, Athena, that reminds me, you made a post one time that I loved. I think it was a story post, and it was something about, I think it was a questionnaire that you were doing, and someone asked you about your dating life. I think this is what it was. And you responded of like, I'm not even thinking about dating right now. Like, dating's not even on my radar. Like, I ain't got time for dating. You responded something like that. And I was like, yo, I love this woman, because, like, yes, like, that's exactly my mindset. When I say that out loud, people are like, what? Why not? But the fact that you put it out there, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna start doing that. Like, I want to put it out more of like, I don't have time for dating. I'm not even thinking about it right now. My mind's on my career, my passions, and my projects. And that's okay. And like, that's how I want it right now. And
You
I
have
can
to, yeah.
Yeah, and dating can come in another season, but right now is not the season. And for you as a woman like you, to like, there's, like I said before, there's no deficit of men around here, okay? But for you, it's, you are having full control of like, this season right now, I'm not focused on dating, and that's cool. Like, maybe next time I will, but not right now.
Yeah, and it's that all goes to, like, I heard someone talk about being an unpunishable woman.
Oh, okay.
An unpunishable woman. And I feel like, you know, a lot of men will do this thing where it's like, you're going to, you know, if you know, if you don't fit into this mold of a woman, then you're never gonna have kids or have a husband. And whenever you're fulfilled in yourself, I'm unpunishable. I don't, if my main goal is not husband and kids, if my main goal is to realize myself as an individual and lean completely into what our ancestors have never ever been able to lean into. Like, women have never been able to be completely selfish. So if I can lean into being completely selfish, and eventually, yes, I do want a husband and kid, and whenever that comes, it comes, but that's not my focus.
Yeah.
You know, it'll come because it'll come eventually, because men always gonna want to mate with you.
Yeah. Literally, like,
they're always gonna
hey,
want to
there
mate
ain't
with
gonna
you.
be ever a lack of that, okay? Like,
Never. One thing about a man, he gonna mate with you
he
on
gonna wanna
accident,
mate.
on purpose, whatever the fact. But what you can never buy back is your youth.
Exactly.
What you can never buy back is like this time of exploration.
Yeah.
I can pick up a career and drop a career.
Yes.
And my household will not be affected because I'm just a girl right now.
I'm just a girl, right?
Yeah.
And I used to hate that saying. I'd be like, oh my God, is that degrading for us? But now I'm like, nah, like, we just a girl. We just a woman. Like, we can act as a woman should and not have to worry about anything else outside of that. We are a woman, and we can encompass everything that a woman is and still be all these ulterior things that like are not traditionally what a woman should be, but we have adopted that now as Gen Zers. Like, it's okay now. It's
Yeah.
okay to be a selfish woman. It's okay to be a career-driven woman. And I'm just a girl. I'm just a woman, you know?
Exactly. And then the funny thing is like I said before, like, our foremothers did not have this this, I'm gonna say, privilege.
Yeah.
To
Freedom,
just be
girl.
able to
Yep.
explore and know yourself as a woman. And so we're when we do decide to birth, we're gonna be birthing a whole new nation of women who are self-realized.
Yeah.
You know, and are not male-centered.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
are actually, you know, leaning into what they like, because for the since the beginning of time, men have been able to lean into whatever they want to do.
Exactly.
And we have been having to roll with it. So it's like, whenever, even whenever I rest and I just find myself doing nothing in my bed for the entire Saturday, when I think about me being lazy, I also think about this. what woman in my lineage had the
Mm.
privilege
Wow.
to lay in bed and not think about if a child's gonna starve, if a husband gotta get fed,
Yeah.
if a family has to get taken care of? I can just relax. Like, you owe your ancestors success, but you also owe your ancestors relaxation, especially as women of color.
That's so
Especially.
deep, girl. That is so deep. But honestly, like, as someone with lupus, like, spitting back to that, who, like, needs
You
an
need to
extra amount
rest.
of relaxation, an
Mm-hmm.
extra amount of self care and rest, emphasizing on rest. Okay. If you have not rested this week, this is your sign. Go rest. Okay.
Rest.
Like, that's crazy. I've never thought about it. Like, I've never thought about it as, like, no, I'm doing something right now, because I always feel so guilty still when I rest. And I just feel like, oh man, this time I spent sleeping or just resting or doing nothing, like I could have been spent pouring into this or that or that. But it's like, damn, Athena, I'm gonna use that now. Like, I'm gonna think about it every time I feel guilty about it. I'm like, nah, like I deserve this. Like, women back then, they couldn't have this privilege.
Couldn't.
That is so deep, girl. Thank you for sharing that. Because
Yeah.
lupus, I definitely like struggle with that a lot as someone who's like very hyper ambitious, hyper productive, hyper of everything.
Mhm.
I always felt like resting to me was a weakness. I always felt like if I'm not engaging in hustle culture and I'm not hustling around the clock, like I'm failing, I'm behind. And yeah, I'm 24 years old, like thinking that I got to be in the big leagues already. Like, girl, that's the process. I've recently had to, accept that. But before, like, resting to me was like, oh my God. And imagine, like, when you have a disease that requires you to rest
Mhm.
and you're like rejecting that, girl, it makes it even
Mm.
sicker. So, like, to me, lupus was kind of like a step back and a very humbling experience to be like, you have to rest.
You must prioritize self
Yes.
care. It's
Or
self care.
yeah.
It's not even rest at that point.
Yeah.
At that point, it's self care. And like, I know that like a buzzword that we use a lot is generational curses. But
Mm.
something that I've been leaning into recently is like, what are my generational blessings, right?
Oh, okay.
And so I feel like when we, typically when our generation, when we speak about our ancestors, we speak about what they didn't get to do, right? And but we never speak about, like, we spoke about their curses and we spoke about what they did wrong, but what did they do right? And a lot of what they did right led us here to where we are right now. And so we're able to rest because our foremothers worked so hard, because they sacrificed their bodies completely, their identities for us, for their foredaughters. um we're able to rest. So one thing that I always credit my ancestors is, thank you for the ability to rest.
Wow.
Thank you for the ability, like, my ancestors, like, like they were, wherever they were transported from West Africa to Cape Verde, which is another West African island. It
Mm-hmm.
was uninhibited. So when the European took my ancestry to Cape Verde, they weren't resting. They were working plantations, they were doing this, they were, all this island work, all
Yeah.
this colonization. And now, can you believe your wildest dream as your ancestor? We think is to get rich.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure my great 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 grandmother, whenever she was in 120-degree weather, you know, working on a maybe sugar cane plantation, um, she just dreamt about resting,
Mm.
laying down in cool air and meditating, and that's something
Yeah.
that we take for granted. And we want to make our family life rich, but how about we,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Like, take our I mean, that'll happen, but like take our time first and rest first. Man, that's so deep, and I'm so glad you brought that up. Like, that's a perspective that I think a lot of Gen Zs have not. Like, Gen Zs are still kind of in that hustle culture, kind of like, what millennials passed on us was like, you better be working hard and doing this and doing that. But I really hope that this catches on to where like more and more becomes trending to it's happening right now, right?
Yeah.
More and more trending to rest and take care of ourselves. And like the bed rot thing has been like, I hated that term, but I'm kind of like, like, why does our generation need a bed rot so much? Because we were working the hell out of ourselves.
Mhm.
So that brings me to this point though. I love to ask you, Athena, like, you are resting and you are doing this and you are putting a pause on dating and this and that because you are wanting to work towards something. Like, let's talk about career and like what our like ancestors wanted for their career and everything. Like,
Mhm.
where you feel like it is leading you towards and where would
Oh
you like to
yeah.
be?
So I'm definitely, well, I'm starting, spoiler alert, y'all, I'm starting law school in the fall.
Oh,
Yeah,
yay.
so I'm, continuing education,
Yeah.
and like I said, just living out what my ancestors' dreams do. Like, the highest level of education in my bloodline from your
Wow.
my grandmother is, my mom completed her high school degree, and that was a huge thing for our family. And
Wow.
my grandmother has a my grandma said in school, all she learned how to do was sew and cook, and that's what they teach. That's what they taught women back in our country. And so they didn't even teach them, like, that she just knows how to sign her name, but they didn't teach them real literacy.
Yeah.
So after my bachelor's, I'm like, okay, I'm going to law school. So my aspiration is to be the first female lawyer in my family.
Wow.
And yeah, and just continue these conversations, with women
Yes.
like you who push the culture forward,
Yeah.
and women like you. We need to amplify your stories, and I think that's my why. Like, your job is one thing, your job is how you make money, that's a career, but your why is another thing, and
Yes.
that's something that you would do if you didn't make any money. Like, if
Yep.
I didn't make any money at all, what I would do is talk to women like you,
Yeah.
and share your stories and amplify it for the women just like you. And so, on that note, on this episode, I want you to share to the audience of how they can find you, how we
Mm.
can connect, and
Yeah.
just follow your journey along.
If you want to hear more, I think this has been such a great, inspiring conversation, and I really hope that it reaches y'all and resonates with at least one woman out there who's like, man, like I needed to hear that. I see myself in them, just like Athena sees herself in me, and that I see myself growing into a woman like her, and I would love that, right? If you would like to hear more of my story and follow along, and connect with me, and hopefully do some things together, right? Connect. I market Houston events for the professional women because I want to bring women like us in more rooms together. I want us to, I want networking to be fun, to be energetic, to be exciting, and not something that we do just to advance our careers, but to find more women to like be social with. That's what I like to market, and that's what I like to promote. I also have a self-help book club where I help advance education too. Like I feel like our answers are in books and we need to read more. And I want that to be like the trending Gen Z thing now, right? So I also run a self-help book club that I'd love for you to be a part of. So to find me, I'm the Marketing Queen on Instagram. And then to find my book club, I am Knowledge Power Book Club on Instagram. Also, same usernames on TikTok as well. But yeah, I'd love to connect with y'all. And please let me know if you came from this podcast. We would love to just know the women that we were able to reach today. And yeah, thanks so much for having me, Athena.
Thank you so much for being on the show, y'all. This is Reyna, our amazing guest to kick off our new season.
Thank you. Girl, I'm honored to be here. I'm so excited.
Thank you
And I can't
so-
wait for the following episodes to just come after this. Like Athena has such a great way of curating conversation. If you see her in person, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. When Athena is on that stage with a microphone in her hand, she just asks questions with like genuine curiosity and like a passion behind it that's like, no, like I want to know your story. Like tell me your story. That is so inspiring, Athena. And just keep doing what you're doing, girl.
Thank
I can't wait to have Miss Lawyer Athena out here and
Yes.
let's get into it, girl.
And we are so excited to see what Reyna's gonna do. You are so young, but you are so wise beyond your years, and I
Thanks,
just know
girl.
you're gonna make a big footprint here in Houston.
We need to make some waves, girl.
Yes.
You and I both, we gonna make some waves.
Exactly. Thank you so much, y'all. This was today's episode of the Healing Hour podcast. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.